what I'm doing here, these people, these people are all about the same size, and they're all lined up here, and there's no space evident here, no depth at all, one in front of the other. So if I put one of these in front of the other one, then I begin to feel there's some space there. This one is in front of that one, and I can put this in front of that one, and I can cluster these together a little bit and get a feeling of space, so that if I bring a bigger person down here and put that big person in front of some of these, then that person feels a lot closer to me than the other ones do. And if I even elevate some of these so that they go up a little bit farther, and the ones I want to make sure that the ones that are closest to me are down a little bit lower, then I feel more space between this big figure and that one goes back there. If I bring some smaller ones down in here and put those up here, they feel still farther away. If I overlap figures this way, or overlap anything, squares, circles, fruit, vegetables, whatever it is, they will indicate there's some space between the one that's nearest to you and the one that's farthest away. The one that's nearest a little bit larger, maybe a little bit warmer, and also the bases of those will be closer to me. If they're nearer, farther away, the farther up the bases of those figures will be. Robert Henry, in his painting here of New York in the wintertime, used another element. There's some overlapping in here to show space also going back, but he also used what we call linear perspective. He has a lot of the edges of buildings like this that go to vanishing point down here, probably right by the light almost. And all these things line up. See the edge of the top edge of the building there, the buildings on this side, the people down below, the tops of the cart down here, and all these, everything goes toward this center in here, which is really a vanishing point or an area of focus back in here. Artists use that to show depth in their painting. Third type of way to feel space is to what we call atmospheric perspective. What I want to do is to try to show a range of mountains, or a couple of ranges of mountains here, one coming behind the other, one in front of the other one. So what I'm doing is putting washes over this whole surface, and I'll go all the way down to the bottom of the page, then let it dry, and then put another range of mountains in front of it, a little bit darker, maybe a little bit warmer, put a little bit of purple with the color so it gets a little bit warmer. And I'll do that until I get down to the very front of the painting, and we'll see if we develop a sense of space. Each layer of color now has to get progressively brighter, stronger, and more intense. And then we'll get that feeling of space going back. So here, this one is very dark. I put a little bit of red with it to warm it up a little. When I get that all done and that's dry, I can put a matte on that, and you'll see how the sense of space develops, with this being very close and progressively this being going farther and farther away. So there are three ways to show perspective. When you look at Robert Henry's painting again to see how he does that, we can overlap things, like people can overlap people behind them, buildings overlap buildings. We have perspective lines that go to one point perspective, and we have atmospheric perspective with these buildings being much, much lighter, these being much darker and warmer as they come forward. If we put all three of those elements together, overlapping, linear perspective, and aerial perspective, we have a tremendous sense of depth and space that develops in a painting.